In 2025, we've received a mixed bag of treats when it comes to our horror movies. We've had some that are pretty good, some that are pretty mid, and we've had a couple that are pretty bad for sure. But there really hasn't been a whole lot of standouts. And then just a short couple months ago, the movie The Long Walk was released. Is this movie one of the upper echelon? Come rock with your boy and find out. But before you do, subscribe to the channel. It'll mean the world to me. Like the video, and we'll jump into the movie right now. All right, Spooky Gang, so the movie The Long Walk. I'm gonna go ahead and say this up front. This is a very simple movie, but it was almost perfectly executed. This movie is set in a sort of dystopian alternate universe of the 1970s in the US, and the film follows this annual event called The Long Walk. 50 teenage boys, one from each state, are selected to participate in a walking contest, maintain at least 3 miles an hour without stopping. As far as the rules, you can't fall below the pace, you can't veer off the road, you can't stop, there's no breaks, there's no bathroom, nothing. It's just full-blown walking, and you get 3 warnings throughout the walk, which can reset over a specific amount of time. But after those 3 warnings, you're executed. Now, I just want all of you to also think about this. Imagine if you're in that situation, and I'm not exactly sure how fast some of y'all walk, but if you got to think, at 3 miles an hour, 3 miles an hour is not a slow pace for walking. You know, typically probably the average person walks maybe like 1.5 miles per hour or something like that, maybe 1 mile an hour, because I know y'all been walking in the mall and you get stuck behind somebody that's acting like they have no sense of urgency. So yeah, but anyway, 3 miles an hour is a pretty fast pace, and there is no set goal for how many miles that you're gonna walk. It's just outlast everybody else. So from a contestant perspective, you just never know how long and like how much you will have to endure to basically outlast everybody else. You may not know what their story is or what their determination level is, and you know what they're doing, their motivation, and essentially for the person who wins this whole thing, the prize is a large cash reward and you get 1 wish. And in this movie, pretty much our 2 main protagonists, Ray Garrity, played by Cooper Hoffman, and Peter McBride, who's played by David Jonsson. Throughout the movie, you sort of see their evolving friendship, even though they had no idea, they have never met each other. Like, all these dudes are unfamiliar with each other for the most part, but you see the evolving friendships and relationships that they have with each other. And that leads me to one point that I want to make, that this movie is literally the epitome, the embodiment, just any word that you want to use to be able to say that this movie is a quintessential example of what great acting and character development is. I mean, this movie is just purely a masterclass. Typically in an hour, 30-minute, 2-hour movie, it's kind of really hard to get somebody to care for different characters unless, you know, the movie is a part of a series, you know. So you're like, oh yeah, I've been dealing with such and such character since the first movie and we're now on the 3rd or 4th sequel. No, to do all of that, to establish your characters and give them some level of an arc and development, do all of that within 2 hours, and then, you know, as the movie progresses, we actually care about what is happening to these characters. All that stuff matters, and these 2 dudes specifically absolutely knocked the roll out. And a lot of the other characters as well, dang near about all of them, were great in their own right as well. From Arthur to Hank to Stebbins to Gary, the dynamic of all of them either loving or hating each other or hating a specific person for what they might have done. All this stuff matters ultimately. To me, it just makes the movie that much more impactful. But as I mentioned, there is no mile goal in mind. So it's not like, oh, you hit the 100 mile and then this whole thing is over no matter what, and whoever all makes it gets their large sum of money and gets their wish. No, it's keep walking until one person is standing. So you have to imagine throughout this movie, without giving like crazy spoilers or anything like that, you have to think of the fatigue and the pain, the trauma, and how when one person is struggling, then you see how another person may really take the time to try to pick that person up and try to keep them going along for as long as they can. All this stuff just makes this movie really great. And then from like a theme and visual perspective, you have people who are sitting on the side of the road from time to time, and they're watching the people walk as if it's some spectacle. But the thing that's kind of sinister about that is like these people's livelihood is on the line, like, and not just livelihood in terms of how they're going to live in the future. Or there won't be a future at all if they don't complete this race. There's so many different elements, relationships, and things that just make this movie great, and it is 100% a sleeper for the year. Not a whole lot of people are talking about this movie, but I 100% believe that it should be mentioned up there with some of the best from the year, you know, movies like Sinners and Weapons. But yeah, that is all I have, Spooky Gang, for this movie without really spoiling a whole bunch, because like I said, at the end of the day, this movie is a really simple premise that's just executed very well. Me giving too much more detail will essentially spoil the entire movie. Yeah, Spooky Gang, y'all comment down below what you thought of this movie if you've already seen it, and if you have not seen it, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, Tech is putting his stamp on this movie. And as far as a rating, I would say from a technical aspect, this movie is about, I would say a 4.25 out of 5. Like, I think that all around, it was just perfectly executed. It's a Stephen King adaptation. And then as far as my enjoyment, I would probably say, I enjoyed this very well. I would say this is probably like a 3.5. Overall, this movie is coming in at a 7.75. I think that it is truly that good of a movie and deserves all the respect, love, and admiration that it could possibly get. Now, is this a movie that I can say that I'm gonna repeat watch and consistently, you know, throw on like once a month or, you know, however long it is? No, not at all. But any opportunity that I have for people who have not seen this movie to see it, then 100%. And it's not even necessarily just for horror fans. Like, yeah, the horror of this movie is the psychological element that goes along with basically doing this walk or getting executed. Anybody watching, if you're a fan of action, adventure, like thrillers, mystery, it doesn't matter what genre you like the most. I think that you can watch this movie and get some level of enjoyment out of it. It's not a fast-paced movie. It definitely is a slow-paced movie considering it's walking, but you're not watching it for fast-paced action. You're watching it for, like I said, the continuity and the development of these characters that you soon to end up caring about. So yeah, y'all comment that down below. Spooky Gang, we're on the road to 10K subs. Y'all know how we rocking. That is all I have. So until next time, Spooky Gang, y'all stay blessed, y'all stay spooky.